Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of yet another Nicktoon that I love so much, and is also one of the funniest Nicktoons that I've ever seen, that is so up there with the likes of Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy, and is also quite up there with the likes of Animaniacs, Tiny Two Adventures, the Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and Woody Woodpecker, and even a lot of the classic Disney shorts that I really love. I'm, of course, referring to The Angry Beavers, which was created by Mitch Shower and Keith Kashmarek and was airing on Nickelodeon from April 19th, 1997 to June 11th, 2001. Now, just like with a lot of Nicktoons that I caught, I first watched this ever since I was 7 years old, and just by the couple of episodes that I watched from The Angry Beavers, I could really tell that this show was going to be such a huge blast in terms of the comedic department. And what really sold it for me was just everything that really made the show work. The pop culture references, the constant use of the word spooty by the likes of Daggett, and even a lot of moments involving Norbert and Daggett together and how they find themselves in a lot of weird situations and how they constantly argue. This was a show that I really enjoyed ever since I was a kid, and even growing up, I still find that there were definitely moments that I really loved from the show. So let's find out what really made the show stand out in front of my eyes in terms of its story, animation, music, characters, and voice acting. So, the story of Angry Beavers basically chronicles the day-to-day misadventures that Norbert and Daggett get themselves into. They're basically bachelor beavers who live on their own and get themselves into a lot of crazy and almost kind of hackneyed situations, whether it be get-rich-quick schemes or getting themselves involved in one of their favorite movies, or even like having a movie night, and then all of a sudden, due to all of the snack foods that they eat, they turn into the movie characters that they end up watching. Yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff and a lot of fun stuff happening with the Angry Beavers, and especially when it comes to Norbert and Daggett. Now, they basically steal the show, and in terms of their chemistry, and even of just how well they work off of each other, it's also essentially also a buddy comedy aside from being a slapstick comedy. And you can tell that this show also took some influences from the likes of Ren and Stimpy's surreal nature, and even that of Rocko's Modern Lives, sexual innuendo and pop culture references, and even to a lot of the crazy antics of the Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry. This is what really makes the Angry Beavers stand up out on its own merit, and it really is enjoyable seeing how Norbert and Daggett really work well off of each other. But it's not just them; also a lot of other characters contribute well to the story as well. They may not be the deepest characters, nor do they get like a huge amount of character development, but they're still very fine characters who really managed to keep the story very interesting and naturally hilarious. So overall, the story still holds up with being so hilarious and so filled to the brim with pop culture references, and it's just so much fun. It's still a lot of fun even to this very day. And then we get the animation, which is bright and colorful, even though some of the character designs can be kind of jagged, but still, it really shows the wacky tone that Angry Beavers is going for, and it really reflects the show's wackiness very well. I felt like the animation really shone in the opening, in which we have these huge blasts of color with the brass instruments being played, and even with Norbert's dancing, we see all of this color coming out. And this is where the animation really shone. It shows a lot of color, it shows a lot of pizzazz, it shows a lot of a lot of crazy moments going on with Norbert and Daggett, and you could really see it burst in front of your very eyes. And that's what even the show's main animation does. It really does an impressive job, like really working on the slapstick elements of its comedy in terms of the characters stretching, squishing, and even being splatted on. And there are a lot of great effects being used with these type of physical comedies as well. And that's what really makes the animation shine in my book. The way that the animators would go out of their way to really make a lot of physically comedic moments and really let them shine on screen is a huge highlight to the Angry Beavers. And it really does shine in terms of its color. And even when it goes into like the film noir territory, they even are inspired by a lot of other genres, which really does show that when it comes to a show like The Angry Beavers, the animators and even the creators can really go all out with what they can do with the medium of animation. So I felt like it's really well done all throughout. And then we get the music. Now, this is yet another part where it really shines for me. The music, especially then the opening and ending, is just so catchy. The opening makes great use of brass instruments and the calypso and even some of the percussion as well. It's simple, it's fun, it's charming, and it really helps you get into the crazy world that Norbert and Daggett get themselves involved with. And not to mention the simple lines of the sung words, Angry Beavers, as the music keeps playing, just really shows that sometimes, in terms of a great opening, less is more. And this is what I definitely got with the Angry Beavers music. And also, the closing is equally as catchy and equally as thrilling. And especially the opening music used for each of the episodes. It starts off with the main theme and then ends with a sort of off-key honk. I thought it managed to really bring the show a lot more distinction in terms of its comedic tone, and it's also really helped in the music. There's no doubt that just like its predecessor and even a lot of its predecessors like the Looney Tunes, Ren and Stimpy, and Tom and Jerry, it also makes great use of different types of music. You don't just have the show's jazzy, upbeat feel, you also have moments in which they have remixes of classical numbers. Like there is one episode in which the Largo al Factotum is playing, and then you even have the American football episode in which there's a band that plays the likes of the Chopin Funeral March and even Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So overall, the music is vibrant, it's versatile, and it really has a great sense of variety, using the likes of jazz, a little bit of pop, a little bit of rock, and also some classical numbers as well, which really makes the music and even the usage of music very versatile. And then you have the characters. Now, talking about the characters in The Angry Beavers is like talking about Norbert and Daggett, as they are the bread and butter of the entire show, and they're the ones that really make the show very watchable and extremely interesting, mostly because this is basically their comedy of errors, and also because they're complete opposites. So let's start off with Norbert, who is also the eldest of the two beavers. Norbert is a very intelligent, articulate, and he's also kind of vain as well, and he's also kind of cocky as well. His distinguishable feature is that he loves to exaggerate certain words, especially simple words, and make them into a certain rhythm and a certain feel to each of these words. And he even says, like, charming words as well, especially to his own brother. One time he even says daggykins, even on several occasions, and even says daggeroo and all these type of all these type of lingo that he likes to use. That's what really makes him stand out as a character. Yeah, he can be a slacker, but he's totally laid back, cool, and very much an articulate and very intelligent beaver that's also very enjoyable to watch on screen. And then you have Daggett, his younger brother. Now, Daggett is the complete opposite. He's loud, he's screechy, he's well, a lot more simple-minded and has the tendency to be very reactive, and he has a tendency to get easily pissed off and easily emotional. And he is also, well known for using this one word, spooked, and even its adjective, spooty, or even its noun, spootiness, and all those type of thing that involves the word spooked. Heck, this word can even be found probably in any modern lingo dictionary or even in any Wiktionary whatsoever. Yeah, that's also the defining character of Daggett, the fact that he likes to say spooked, and not to mention his constant whenever something like bad happens or whenever something chaotic happens, he manages to say that word. And I really enjoy his presence as well. Oh, sure, there are times he can be quite annoying, especially to that of Norbert as well, but he's still a very fun character as well, and he also does steal the show and really makes a very memorable and very enjoyable presence to watch on screen. The other characters also do help as well. Like you have Bing, who is a very eccentric and very, very enthusiastic lizard. And then you have Big Bunny, who is a huge rabbit of very few words. Barry Bear, who is sort of homage to the late great jazz singer Barry White. Tree Flower, who is the object of affection to both Norbert and Daggett, but mostly leaning towards Norbert. And then you have Stump, who is basically the show's version of Plank from Ed and Nettie. You know, come to think of it, I sort of think that Plank from Ed and Nettie was pretty much inspired by Stump from the Angry Beavers. Or probably they could be inspired from each other as well. So this show definitely has a great cast of characters who are lovable, enjoyable, and just leave you with a huge smile on your face. And even though their characters are nothing deep or anything that's totally multidimensional, they're still very fun characters that I can watch every single time on screen, and even the constant interactions that they have with one another is what pretty much makes the characters great on their own merits. And now let's also get to the voice acting. Now, Norbert and Daggett were voiced by Nick Bakay and Richard Stephen Horowitz. Nick Bakay is extremely well known for his voice work as Salem from the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch. With Norbert, Bakay manages to really give a very suave, laid-back, cool attitude that really makes Norbert very interesting and very lovable in his own way. Yes, he does have a little bit of Salem sass in it as well, because it's no surprise that Nick Bakay is pretty much a master at voicing a lot of sarcastic and very smart mouth characters, so you could see and even hear a hint of Salem coming out from Norbert's mouth as well. With Richard Stephen Horowitz as Daggett, this has got to be one of his most iconic portrayals of all time. In fact, this was also the first time that I've heard him in any cartoon role. Yes, he did go on to voice the likes of Invader Zim, Billy and Harold from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and even one time voiced a dramatic character in a Static Shock episode, and it was none other than Jimmy Osgood. Horowitz managed to really give such a manic nature to Daggett and really makes him a very enjoyable character to watch on screen. and he manages to really inject a lot of fun in this role. There are also a lot of great voice actors and voice actresses as well, especially other actors and actresses who've also had careers on television and live action films that have managed to find themselves voicing a few roles in this TV show. Like you have John Gary, who voiced Barry Bear, and Cynthia Mann, who voiced Tree Flower. In fact, a lot of the voice actors that really lended their voices to each of the characters really gave it their all, and they really just let their lines flow well with hilarity and with a lot of fun. So overall, Angry Beavers is still definitely a show that I love to this very day. With enjoyable characters, very funny situations, and great, well-timed humor, this is definitely one of those Nicktoons that definitely has to be rediscovered, and one that still holds up to this very day. So I give this a well-deserved 5 out of 5 stars. This is definitely one of the best comedies that I've watched. In fact, this is also one of the best animated comedies that I've watched. This is totally up there with the likes of Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, Ariel Monsters, Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Woody Woodpecker, The Animaniacs, and Tiny Toon Adventures. This show really does need to be rediscovered, and mostly because that this is also one of the most hilarious shows that Nickelodeon has ever produced, and it's also one of the most hilarious Nicktoons that I'm sure a lot of people can watch, mostly because of its well-timed jokes and even fun and very interesting pop culture references. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in later where I look at my top 25 favorite Angry Beavers episodes. So until then, see you later, everybody.